Hello and welcome to 5 Lights Out. I am your host Tom, and today I'm looking at doing some F1 news in between the Imola Grand Prix and the Monaco Grand Prix. So it's time for some F1 news. So the biggest bit of news in F1 that has been reported, BBC, which don't tend to do a lot of Formula 1, so it's probably one of the biggest ones, is the veteran engineer Pat Symonds, who has been at Renault and Williams, has gone to Andretti Cadillac F1 program. Now, Andretti have been told that they're not allowed on the grid at 2026. It's been very, very public. Andretti are really trying to join the grid, even as early as 2025. Or 2026. So they are really pushing it. And so, but they rejected mainly because it's quite complicated. But in F1, obviously, the 10 teams make the decisions because the Concord Agreement details how people get paid. And if there's an 11th team, then everyone's pay goes down because they will get a percentage. And you add an extra team in, the percentages decrease for everyone. So why would they want to let another team in? Well, they could let another team in if the other team shows that they're going to bring a lot of revenue to the sport. So, i.e., the revenues that you're going to lose from us coming in, actually we're going to replace those revenues with an increase in other revenues. And basically that is where Andretti are really pushing. And that's why they've got Cadillac on board. They had to show that they've got a really big team company behind them. Obviously Cadillac, GM Motors. So they've managed to get that behind them. And they're not going away. They are not going away. And by getting Pat Symonds involved, who has been around F1 for a long time, really shows their intent. They really are intent in getting a really good car. First of all, they don't just want to buy a team like other new teams have done, or they don't just want to go through that route, because obviously if you bought a team a lot of people were suggesting Haas because they're both American, so it makes a little bit of sense, I suppose, but equally you could buy, let's just think of one that's not been bought, because obviously Audi have bought in Sauber, so they've got into Formula 1. I suppose you could do Williams, but I think Williams have a lot of backing behind them at the moment and a lot of support, and I don't think that would be very favourable. But yeah, so there are other ways into the sport, but they really want to do new team, 11th team on the grid. And to be honest, I'm very supportive. More teams on the grid, I'd love that. So they're just not going away. They are not going away at all, and really good on them. The next bit of news that I'm going to bring you has been reported by Sky, and that is that Carlos Sainz is not in the frame to join Mercedes for 2025 and replace the outgoing Lewis Hamilton in what would be a straight swap. Mercedes don't want that. Mercedes want Verstappen, or are they going to go and put in Kimi Antonelli? Those seem to be where Mercedes are laying their eggs, putting their eggs in their basket. They're putting all their eggs in the Max Verstappen basket. And so Carlos Sainz, it really looks like he's only got maybe one option at the moment, Sauber, Audi. They're really, especially Audi, are really pushing hard for him. There are other seats out there. I mean, obviously, if Max does go to Mercedes, well, then there is a Red Bull seat. Who's going to take that? Sainz has won races recently. Up until Norris's win in Miami, he was the only driver to actually win a race during this period of dominance by Red Bull. So he would be a good candidate for them. Sainz is in no rush. He has offers. I think Audi are maybe a bit more pushing him, going, come on, sign with us, we really want you, come on, sign with us. There was reports that maybe Audi have put a deadline that you have to say by this time, otherwise we're going to look elsewhere. Is that a good move from Audi? Is there a better driver out there than Sainz? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Is there a better driver for Audi out there other than Sainz? And finally, my last bit of news is from Haas. And maybe not really news, more gossip. And the gossip is that Haas are looking at Ocon. Now, I think it seems pretty certain, almost nailed on, that Oliver Behrman is going to be in the Haas next year. Ferrari are pushing it, and I think that he is going to definitely probably be in Formula One next season. He did a cracking, outstanding job at Saudi Arabia in Sainz's car. Really good for a first-time race to just jump in and to deliver points. Even though the Ferrari is really quick, it was very, very good from Behrman. So, does this mean that Ocon could be replacing Magnussen? Which is an interesting move. Interesting. I'm really not surprised that it's Ocon, because Ocon's a very quick driver. But it's not to say Magnussen isn't also quick. He's been shown up by Hulkenberg at the moment. That can't be downplayed at all. Hulkenberg seems to have Magnussen every weekend almost. He always seems to be quicker. Although Magnussen has a very good race in Imola. He has had some really bad press lately, some not so fair racing moves. And maybe Haas don't want the bad press. Maybe Haas want to go with a driver. I say that, and Ocon's not exactly got a clean past, has he? But especially with his teammates. So maybe that's not the case. Maybe they just think Ocon's a quicker driver than Magnussen, which you could definitely argue that he is. You could also argue the other way. They're both very quick drivers. It's a very interesting move if they go Ocon and Behrman. Obviously, Haas don't want to have two rookies in. They've had two rookies in before, a couple of years ago, where they had Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, and that was a disaster of a season. So they don't want two rookies. So if they are going to get Behrman in, they obviously want a very good driver with recent F1 knowledge, where especially, and that'd be good for Behrman. He can then compare himself to a good driver. So it's a good option to have for Haas. Ocon, on the other hand, is Haas better than Alpine? Well, that's a tricky one, because Alpine surely they've got the backing of Renault. Now that is a presumption on my part. They may not have any backing from Renault. Renault may not want, it is the Renault Sports division, but they may not see it as a fruitful venture. They may be reducing the money they're putting into it. And the powertrain does show that it's one of the worst. And the car at the moment is also one of the worst. They haven't developed the car very well at all. Going into this year, they were right at the back of the grid. So far, I'd say the actual development in season has been pretty good, though, because they were right at the back at the start of the season. They were nowhere. And they have crept up now. Ocon finishing, well, he managed to get a point in the Alpine. And yes, Haas have more points. So Haas is probably the quicker car at the moment. But F1 changes season by season. So it could easily be the fact that Haas go backwards next year and Alpine go forwards. You just don't know. Any move in F1 is a risk. But it could be a good risk. Or it could be that Ocon has seen the trajectory of Haas in last season. They were really bad, especially towards the end of the season. They had a quick car, but under the new technical leadership of Ayu Komatsu, they obviously have worked really hard on their deficiencies. The deficiency was last year it was very obvious it was the tyres and eating through them. They were not able to keep their tyres for a long period in the race. They were a super quick car, but would chew up the tyres and then just go backwards from qualifying. So maybe Ocon's seen that and gone, they have some good technical leadership and I want to get some of that. I think this one's a very interesting rumour. So please let me know what you think. I've been Tom. The 5 lights are out and it's go.